But I know it's kind of a new shift for me. So I know that I'm not going to be 100% perfect. And that's not my goal, right? Which is hard for me to say because I want to do things the right
Hmm.
way, right? Or the way I
Yeah.
should do them. Doing a lot of air quotes today. That's okay.
Yeah, that so we talked a couple years ago. There's an episode that we kind of came about because one of Seth's blogs was better at being better. Because like that is something that we try to do is like how do we get better at being better? Like we're learners, right? We pride ourselves in being able to figure things out and to navigate problems. Uh and yet the shadow version of that is perfection and
Hmm.
getting trapped by actually not doing anything, not experimenting because it has to be right. Welcome back to In Residence. I'm Keith.
And I'm Laura.
Hey, Laura.
Hey, Keith.
How are you?
I'm doing okay. How are you?
Doing swell. So I think we have a topic, but you just said that you could tell me about a crazy dream you had. So let's start there.
Okay. So this week, and this isn't going to be news to you, but I've been having a series of dreams that they just, I wake up and I feel unsettled. So typically, this is how it goes. So I am in a public place and I'm looking for somewhere to like go to the bathroom or to shower, but I'm always ending up where I can't quite find somewhere that's private. So, so this week, I know. I've had like a series of these, right?
Yeah.
And so this week I had this dream where I woke up, I'm like, well, that was weird. I had traveled to another college with a delegation of people. So I had like 5 bags of things, and I had decided that I needed to change into jeans and a suit coat for some reason. Like my dress and sweater was not okay. So I had to change right into this jeans and this suit coat. And I left all of my bags behind with everybody that had come with on this trip. And I was trying to find a bathroom and I found one, but all of the stalls were cut off at like knee level. And so everyone was using these stalls as like coffee shops to get their work done. Like they had coffee, they had books. Like it was just the weirdest situation. And so I'm like, well, I can't change there. And so I went back to the room and I decided just to abandon it altogether and not do it. But then we had to go to this big presentation and I was late and it was in this big auditorium and the steps some were really short, some were really, really tall, like maybe 6 to 7 feet tall. So I couldn't really traverse down these steps. And I had all these bags of things. I probably like, like the big Kia bags or like just big, big bags from shopping. Probably had like 6 of them, 3 on each arm. I had to leave 2 blankets behind in this room. Why leaving 2 blankets behind? I'm not sure, but it was really disturbing to me. I finally got down to where the team was and I was super late and I woke up. That's when I woke up. Like I had finally gotten down this weird auditorium, right?
Yeah.
Um, and so because I've had so many of these dreams, they've talked a lot about it representing me trying to move through life and finding struggle in some of the things that I'm doing, and that I want to have control, but I feel very vulnerable and out of control. Like things aren't in my control. And it made me start thinking a lot about, I think that's very true. Like right now, like I'm working through a really, really sore hip, and I don't feel like I can do everything I used to do to make it stronger because it hurts when I do that. And so I've been doing like little teeny things that don't seem like they're quite enough, you know? It makes sense to me that I feel a little exposed, right now I'm limping, I'm moving slower. People see that. Like I'm still on the right path. I might feel like I'm behind or late. I might feel like it's not in control, but I do have control over showing up consistently, little by little, and doing the things I can do. So what I've been trying to do, I've been journaling a lot, obviously,
Yeah.
but I've also been doing things a little differently. I've been on the exercise bike and trying to do that. I've been listening to my body and doing weightlifting specifically with my arms and back and shoulders, and trying to also be like, okay, what feels good today? And what can I do that might not seem like it's enough, but it is enough for me right now. And if I consistently do it, I can keep leveling it up and it's going to make a difference. So, um, but that dream, I tell you, that's probably about the fifth one I've had over the last 6 months.
Yeah. Well, and okay, so that makes sense with what we're going to be talking about. And like literally in your dream, there were like uneven steps. So like,
Oh, very
you know what I mean?
uneven.
So like that metaphor
Yep.
is very telling for like what you're experiencing
Mm.
and how you're feeling. So that's interesting and trying to navigate things when they're uncertain or inconsistent, right?
Right.
Like you don't know what the next
Yeah,
step is going to bring kind of thing.
exactly. Because some days I mean, if I'm thinking about my waking life, some days my hip feels okay. And other days it's really, really sore. And I just don't ever quite know what I'm gonna get. So,
Okay.
and that's frustrating, right?
Yeah.
That's the frustration of my dream, I think. Not being able to get there.
You're talking about being seen and being seen in a vulnerable way. And like I know you're not completely comfortable with how you are presenting when your hip is sore, right? You don't like
Right.
because you probably feel like kind of the spotlight on you. You think everyone's noticing. You think everyone's maybe whispering to
Yes.
themselves, "Oh, what's wrong with Laura?" Or "What's going on with her?"
hmm Well, I mean, people do ask me a lot. They're like, there's got to be a story there.
Yeah,
As often. Somebody just yesterday said that to me because some days when my hip is really sore, or I have to go a long distance, I have a cane that it's kind of a little bit more for confidence or when it really gets sore.
yeah.
Because sometimes it's not on the way there, but it's on the way back, that it hurts really bad. So I went into a large meeting yesterday and sat down next to somebody and they're like, oh, I bet there's a story there, and they're being really nice, but I'm like, geez, yep. I'm really being seen. It's not something I can hide all the time. Even when I don't have it, if I'm limping or I'm going slower, you can't hide that, right?
Right.
Like people notice that.
I think what I was trying to get at is there's something to look into or inspect about you feeling like you need to hide it. You know what I
hmm
mean? And I mean that's not easy.
Absolutely.
That's tricky, but um, you like you feeling like it's something to be hidden away is something to probably work through and like I don't know like I'm stubborn like when my like we brought up several times like when my back was hurt, right, it took me months to go to the doctor,
Oh, it definitely did.
and part of that was probably me wanting to hide from it and not accept it and what else, I'm not trying to psychologize you about it, but there's definitely a layers to something like that
hmm
for sure.
I think some of it too, I feel like, there's people that have more pain than I have, right? Why should I, take up that sort of space, I guess, of other people's concern? Or why should I rest,
Mm.
That's something I've been working on a lot is rest, taking care of my body, things like that.
I'm not exactly sure what it is, but like why, are you feeling guilty? I think is maybe how I feel sometimes if like I'm like, am I taking someone else that's maybe hurting more? Am I taking their spot? Like where
Yeah.
or their resources kind of thing?
hmm
Um, but I think that's kind of like a false identity to claim, or to a way to, I don't know, it's like masking something.
So we've been watching a lot of tennis, right? With child one. And the coach sent out a video related to the 1% rule. You want to talk a little bit about
Yeah.
that?
Well, yeah, so they sent out kind of a short excerpt of one of James Clear's talks. And I actually went and I found the full length one, just because I wanted to revisit it and see what it was in context. But he brings up this 1% rule that was brought to, was it the cycling team from the UK, or what was it, Great
I think
Britain
so.
or
Yeah.
something? What was his name? I wrote it down. Dave Brailsford. So he was like the coach they brought in, and what he brought forward, something he called the aggregation of marginal gains.
Aggregation of marginal gains.
Yeah. And so basically what that means is, how can we get 1% better at nearly everything that we need to do for the cycling kind of thing? And so getting you in the mindset of like, hey, these really small little changes can compound and add up. And like the punchline is he does the math. If you do 365 days times 1%, you can end up 37 times better than you were where you started.
Wow. That's pretty impressive, actually, if you think about it.
Which and to actually give that some credence, because when I think of doing 1% on everything, that sounds overwhelming in a way, almost as much
Sure.
as like trying to do one or two really big things extremely well. Like they both feel kind of heavy. I want to be like, okay, well let's realize that we're not a cycling organization that has funding and organizational support and all these like assistants and coaches that like are doing the work of finding the best pillows for them to travel with so they sleep better, and making sure they know how to wash their hands so that they don't get sick. All these things, they add up, and at a certain level that's really important. But like for people like us, if we start thinking about how can I do better at every single thing I do, that's daunting.
Mhm.
But
Oh, right.
you bring it back to, okay, how do I do just a little bit better, And
And 1% is not a lot,
no, no. And
right?
because it gets into that tricky thing where like we're bad at math, we're bad at scale, right? And so we'll say 1%, and
Yeah.
then we'll go out and we'll run 3 miles when we haven't even walked a mile in 3 months, right? So
You're like, let's go.
yeah, and overdo it like I did last summer.
Hmm.
So
Well, even so, the exercise bike, we got one, pretty inexpensive one, just online, because that movement, especially for someone with arthritis in their hip, that really it can work well for some people, and it works well for me. And uh, so I got one, and I remember being like, okay, I'm going to do 30 minutes a day, like that. That's what I was thinking the first week, right? So I put it together and I did it for one day, and I didn't realize that I could reduce the resistance. I was like, oof. I was like, I don't think I can do this.
I think you messaged me, and I'm like, there has got to be a dial or something for you to twist that will make it
Yeah.
different.
And I was like, no, there's not a dial. It's just one speed. It's
No, I'm
not
like,
like
there's no way.
not a 10 speed like my Huffy
Look
bike,
look at
when
how
I was
look
growing
at
up.
how quickly like you bumped up against something and like, I'm done.
Like, never mind. That's a lot. That was a lot.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah. I mean, but I figured that out. And so now I've been using it, and it definitely helps. But even like today, so you and I are recording, right? And I had a late night at work, that wasn't planned, just a later night. And what I've been doing is this week I've been coming home and putting in 20 minutes of something each night, which to me doesn't feel like enough. But tonight I was supposed to be on the exercise bike, and my brain started saying like, "Uh-oh, now everything you did this week is bad. It's all out the window. The cycling and the lifting you did this week doesn't count." And I'm like, "Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah.
Brain, slow down. You worked out 3 days this week. You can work out tomorrow. You can work out Saturday." Like, you have options. You don't have to immediately dismiss whatever you think isn't enough just at the first sign of a little bit of a change in plans, right? I keep telling myself, this is about consistency. It's not about one big glorious day where everything is perfect. What I'm trying to do is consistency.
Yeah. So I'll link to that full video because, and I know you have more experience with like Atomic Habits, his book.
Yeah, I
Um,
love Atomic Habits.
and so I got like a little refresher because I think some stuff comes up from that in the talk, but he literally talks about to help set yourself up. It's not always like we're bad at starting. Like we
Hmm.
can start, but we're pretty bad at restarting, right? And so
Yeah.
what he goes on to say is like just kind of give yourself this little rule of like don't miss twice in a row. So for your thing, like if you can't get on the bike, like say when we're done, schedule it for the morning, right? Or make
Yeah.
sure you do it tomorrow night or whenever. But
Hmm.
it's this tricky balance of having discipline and consistency and that persistence and the right amount of it because too much of it you stop, right? And it's hard to restart,
Yeah.
but not enough, you're not holding yourself accountable. I
Yep.
is kind of what I think he was getting at with that. And so just and you get to decide, you get to decide
Hmm.
if is it every night? Is it every other night? With whatever
Yeah.
with whatever somebody might be choosing, like whether, I think of like for me, like tennis, I was thinking of going tonight, but then I was trying to get this ready and I probably could have fit it in, but then I would have been rushing and then I'm like, okay, well, I can stop and I can do some foam rolling and some mobility stuff. And like, I don't need to go all in because 1% of me playing tennis isn't me playing tennis every day or
Right.
practicing on the courts every day. So
Hmm.
I can be patient um, and find a pace that makes it, because his whole thing is habits, right?
Yep.
How do
Trying to shift, right?
because the habits create routine and routines that you repeat are a system. And I think
Yep.
he gets into that obviously, but like that makes me think of like Seth Godin and you know, this is strategy and systems. And it's like, I
Hmm.
love how this stuff combine. I think he even references Seth in the talk. So I think it's less
Yeah,
than
you
20
should link
minutes
that.
long. So
Yeah.
we'll link
So
to it.
people could watch.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you think about systems, I mean, it's hard. It's hard to shift a habit that you already have ingrained. And so another example for me is in the evenings when I'm here in Green Bay, I have fallen into the habit, I will say, I think you know this, but I've fallen into the habit where I get home, I'm kind of tired, I'll eat supper, and then I will put on a show and kind of binge watch something on Netflix and play Duolingo and Block Blast, which is
What?
like a
What's
Tetris.
that?
It's like a
Okay.
Tetris.
Oh
Don't
no,
even download it.
I
Don't
won't.
even download it.
I
Don't.
won't.
The kids know it. I even watch ads sometimes. So I know.
Oh my gosh.
Child two is like, Mom, do not watch the ads. Definitely don't play whatever they're trying to get you to play when in between the anyway. So what I told myself last week is I was like, okay, enough of this. Let's think about how can I set up a more intentional evening? Because I've been really good and consistent about an intentional morning, but how do I set up the intentional evening? So what I decided, the one thing that I'm shifting, since it's just me, what I've been doing, and I don't even want to admit this, but I'm going to, I've gotten into the habit of making my supper, taking it to the couch in like, I guess what's my eating spot, and turning on a show and
Yeah.
eating supper, right? Watching a show and then mindlessly scrolling on things and really not doing a whole lot other than feeding myself and sitting on my butt. Earlier last week, I was like, okay, this is I'm done with this. Let's try some experiments. So I decided I wanted to experiment and just play a little bit and say, okay, what would it be like if when I eat supper, I sat at the table? instead of my eating spot.
Yeah.
That leads to an evening of scrolling and playing games and watching a show to the point where Netflix asks, "Are you still watching?"
Oh, no.
That little, I know it's bad. Yes.
Okay.
I mean, I think they're kind of good shows. Like I've been watching Young Sheldon and there's so many episodes.
Okay.
Um, but I was doing really good with intentional evening. An intentional evening to me wasn't like I need to be super productive and write and develop social content and do all these things. What I told myself is what I want you to do is be present when you eat supper. I want you to decide what you want to do after that. That could be writing, it could be creating a social post, it could be puzzling, it could be reading, it could be having a cup of tea and drawing, whatever you feel like. But let's try and do something you enjoy that you find restful, but not necessarily at the couch or journaling. I could journal. So, what I've been doing the last couple of weeks is removing that one habit I have of immediately taking my food to my eating spot and shifting it just slightly, which means that when I'm done, I'm like, oh, I'm going to move my plate into the kitchen. And it started this whole new thing for me where I've put together 2 puzzles the last week. I've been listening to masterclass and consuming content that I'm really excited about, learning how to focus more, learning how to tell good stories. I learned a lot about AI and developing agents, which is pretty cool. And so I'm like, okay, this is really helpful. But I'm telling you all this because guess what I did last night?
Did you relax and watch a show?
Well, yeah, I suppose you could categorize it as that. I worked out
Yeah.
and then I got my food. I went and I ate at my eating spot and I watched pretty much the entire season of a show called Running Point. Have you seen that on Netflix?
No.
It just kept going and I was doing laundry and letting it go and doing laundry and letting it go. So I was kind of choring, but really I wasn't. So I could be down on myself about that today,
Right.
right?
Or
Which it almost sounds like I kind of am, but I'm not. It's more like, okay, so tonight, how about we don't sit in my eating spot and
Mhm.
watch shows all night, right?
Yeah.
Let's do something different than that.
Yeah.
And I am,
Don't do it twice
right?
in a row kind of thing, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like,
That's when you
it's the
said that.
opposite,
I'm
right?
like,
Yeah.
right. But I know it's kind of a new shift for me. So I know that I'm not going to be 100% perfect. And that's not my goal, right? Which is hard for me to say because I want to do things the right
Mhm.
way, right? Or the way I
Yeah.
should do them. Doing a lot of air quotes today. That's okay.
Yeah, so we talked a couple years ago. There's an episode that we kind of came about because one of Seth's blogs was better at being better. And that's we borrowed that title and we talked about it. And so I think it kind of fits into this. And what you just said is because like that is something that we try to do is like how do we get better at being better? Like we're learners, right? We pride ourselves in being able to figure things out and to navigate problems. Uh and yet the shadow version of that is perfection and
Hmm.
getting trapped by actually not doing anything, not experimenting because it has to be right. And
Yeah.
yeah, you definitely like being able to say, I did the thing I used to do that I'm trying to not do as much, but also
Hmm.
acknowledging, but for however many days until this day, I did shift and I
Yeah.
did do something different. One thing you did that you might not be aware of, you shifted your environment.
Hmm.
And uh, James Clear talks about that too, is that's one of and people talk about this. It's like an extension of or part of put your shoes out the night before or your workout clothes, right?
Oh,
And
yeah. Which
it almost
works.
it's so simple that when you're making the change, that little voice in your head kind of rolls its eyes at it and makes you
Hmm.
revolt and not do it. Because how could something so simple be the solution to this thing that you've wanted to be doing? it's
Yep.
like, so you almost like withdraw and resist it, but it's true. Like for me, the thing that shifted in my environment was you got us some like flavored rice. And so
Oh, yeah.
I'm making like 1% difference. Instead of me having so many tacos, I'm gonna do burrito bowls. You've kind of gotten back into it. I'm like, I used to have those a lot.
Mhm.
And instead of like me being afraid of the carbs, it's like, okay, let's shift the carbs and let's kind of track it a little bit just so I have the data, just so I have the knowledge. And looking back at the data, I've lost almost 5 pounds
Dang.
just from making a little shift,
Good for you.
you know? But
Yeah.
but what we did is without me consciously knowing it, I consciously made the choice to shift a choice, but it's kind of part of my environment shifted. So the things that were around me were different, right?
Yeah,
It's the
absolutely.
same as setting out your running shoes or your walking shoes, or me finding
Mhm.
my tennis racket. That's part of the reason I went. I finally it was like buried
Right.
under coats in the closet. I'm like, oh, that's where it is. Oh,
Of course it
okay.
was. Right?
Yeah. Um, so
Yeah, or even me, like, I've been saying, like, "Okay, if you're tired, it's 9 o'clock. All right, go to bed." You say you're a 9 o'clock person, but you often go to bed at 10:30. Why? Go to bed at 9. You're
not when I'm
tired.
around.
No, I know. You're a night owl, so
Because we were kind of talking about taking actions there, which he brings up is like that's an important part of habits is actually doing the thing. But him talking about how actions lead you to your identity, right? And he brings up the idea of like,
yeah.
you know, painters paint, writers write. You're not,
Mhm.
and it's that thing in the back of my head. It always comes up when like you ask me if I did something, and I'm like, I'm working on it. It's like I'm not really working on it. I'm thinking about trying to start working on it, and and it's just like for me, like what is the thing that I'm trying to be? It's like, well, I want to do better production for the podcast, right? I want things to get better. So what do I have to do? I have to set time aside and I have to actually prepare, or I need to sit down and write, is going to make me a
Yeah.
better
You're a good
writer.
writer.
Yeah. Well, and that's another, so,
I like reading your writing.
and so like that right there is something else I need. Like I need to accept the fact that when you tell me something like that, that's a signal, that's positive feedback that I need to hang on to. And that ought to be the mechanism that says, "Oh, therefore, Keith, that's a signal to go write more." Because it feels
Absolutely.
really nice when Laura tells you she likes your writing. So,
Yeah.
just like you with, your eating spot, out of nowhere, I was kinda eating to my plan. I went and I got activity, and then afterwards I didn't have a I was pretty sure I was gonna eat the same thing I've been eating for dinner just because that's
Yeah.
easy for me and I like it.
Sure.
But in my head, I was like, "Ooh, I think we have pizza. I could have pizza." And that the instant gratification of enjoying pizza almost won out.
Mhm.
I was watched this video, the full video of this James Clear, and he was talking about how the immediate gratification wins out all the time. That's the one of the biggest hurdles versus like the lasting effects of like delaying that. And I don't know how I did it, but I made for me the right choice. And I had basically taco salad with chicken last night. And I think I'm nervous like the willpower, it's gonna wear out, right? And so
Yeah, so that's why the habits are so important, right?
right. But also like and not setting myself up to be like, well, Saturday is gonna be like my cheat day where I'm gonna basically
Mm.
undo everything I've worked for. So like that thought of like, okay, let's not undo the little workout you got in. We're just
Uh-huh.
1% better, and you'll be satisfied if you just don't turn on the oven, don't put a pizza in there, and don't make that. Just have this thing. And delaying that, I I'm I'm kind of like proud of myself for doing it, but I'm also nervous
Uh-huh.
that it's going to come back around like twice as hard. And
Yeah.
maybe say this weekend we're going to probably want to go to dinner. we're probably going to have to with our schedule and stuff a little bit too. Like we might not have time to make something like at our place. I can embrace that and enjoy having something that maybe I wouldn't have at home with other people and maybe even share, like sharing the joy of like this, like say it's pizza. Like I know you love pizza. You would probably love if we went out and
I
had
love
pizza somewhere.
Yeah.
So
Be
it's like,
fantastic.
that would almost enhance it, right? Like getting to share that with people. And like, anyway, I don't know. I said no to pizza. I thought you'd appreciate that.
Yeah. No, it's good. I mean, and what you did, and I can't remember if this is James Clear or just something that sounds similar to him. But like what you did is you fulfilled your commitment to yourself. Right. So
Yeah. Oh,
you kind
okay.
of showed to yourself that this was your intention and you were going to make a decision that aligns with that and follow through on the promise that you're trying to make to yourself and the decisions you're telling yourself that you want to make for yourself. So I think that's really powerful. Um, when we think about it, not as like, dang it, I said no to pizza and I could have pizza.
Right.
But sometimes it's nice to be like, okay, so I planned and decided that I want to do this because I have these whys behind what I am trying to do, whether it's a why because I want to finish my book, a why because I want to lose 10 pounds, a why because I want to be stronger, all those
Hmm.
things.
Yeah. What's your
Um,
North Star, right? What's guiding
yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
in a direction? Yeah.
hmm And so you kind of, I don't want to say prove to your brain, but by doing that, you kind of said, you know what? No, this is important to me. And I'm going to follow through and say yes to me and yes to my decision of, or yes to my goal,
Yeah.
maybe, or thing I'm trying to do. And like me, if you end up in your eating spot having a piece of pizza sometime, right? Like
My
maybe
eating
just don't
spot's
do
at
it
the
2 days
table,
in a
by the
row.
way.
Yeah, I know you always eat at the table.
I
I'm
mean,
a
sometimes I'm at the
notorious.
counter. Don't get me wrong.
Yes. I'm kind of like I have a raccoon's palate when it comes to pizza, I think. Pretty much
That's
any
funny.
pizza is good, and even when it's bad pizza, it's pretty decent,
Yeah. Oh,
right?
that's funny.
So, yeah.
Okay. So, you made me think of something that I don't know if I have an answer for, but like I feel like I narrowly avoided doing like if I had chosen pizza, it's like I'm rewarding myself for doing the thing, like working out, but it's like the reward is working against like my long-term goal, right? And so because like that, like how do I create like the little rewards that keep me doing the behaviors? Because that's really what it is behavior change, right?
hmm
Changing my habits is changing my behavior. Uh, I don't know if I don't know if I'm going to trip up because I don't know, like a Lisa Frank sticker isn't going to maybe do it for me, like it used to, you know, like,
Don't want a unicorn sticker.
well, I mean, I do, but after maybe the third one, it might kind of like lose its luster a little bit. And then maybe I'll start creeping over and be like, well, maybe I do want some pepperoni pizza, like to celebrate
Yeah.
that I did this thing, like I think I'm, I would hope I'm mature enough to not do that. And yet I think there will be a time where I'm like, ooh, I had pizza and I maybe shouldn't have had as much as I did. Therefore, I need to
hmm
restart and kind of refocus on like that commitment. Like you said, like I'm committed to a goal, and maybe it's just back to that, like, well, don't do it twice in a row kind of thing.
hmm
But so I don't know if you have any
Yeah.
other um I I don't want to say tricks,
Like,
but because it's like, hey, let's create this system that has built-in rewards. Or so like I don't know if like having court shoes, like I finally wore my court shoes outside.
yeah, that's
I've had them
good.
for a year. I've never worn them
Yeah.
outside of the house. And I
I'm
looked
glad you
good.
did.
They looked good, by the way, and
I
they were
bet they did.
comfy. I got some compliments.
Oh,
I got some compliments
oh,
at the court.
did
Oh,
you?
yeah, yeah.
Do they have like flames on the side or
No,
I can't remember what they look
they're just
like?
white. They're basically white with a little bit of, like, blue trim. They're K-Swiss. Like, they're
Oh, okay.
they're really comfortable, though.
Well, that's good.
So anyway, I don't know. You have any? I would love if you had some like earth moving like insight into how to like reward yourself without like it being counterintuitive to your actual goals.
Yeah. I mean, it's so hard because especially when it comes to food things, I feel like as a society, we have been so trained to reward food behaviors with food,
Yeah.
or I mean, it's all emotional eating too, right? Like
Yeah.
even rewarding a hard day or a long day or a happy day with a
Yeah.
glass of wine or two,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
Like there's so much celebration tied to food,
or like
you
if you're
know?
tired after a long day, a way to get energy is literally to consume energy, right?
Hmm.
Like I
Yeah.
I did that a lot when I was working overnights. Like I needed energy, and so I wouldn't. I would eat, and it would trick me into having energy. Obviously, like because I was literally having it. It's not a trick. Um, but I didn't need to be consuming calories. I needed better sleep.
Right. I mean, that's the trick, right? It's trying to figure out like I'm feeling like I want to eat or I want to reward myself with a glass of wine, with
Mhm.
a Snickers bar, with whatever,
Yeah,
doom scrolling on the
yeah,
on the couch. Because it doesn't always have to take the form of food, right? Like the
yeah,
unhelpful. A lot of it is trying to understand what it is you really are looking for. And I know for me, because again, I do a lot of journaling around this. For me, the things that I have found specifically where I'm like, oh, I'm going to reward myself with wine or crunchy snacks or whatever it is. It's often because I'm tired and I need rest and I need to take a break, but I feel like I can't. So popcorn, it'll help me keep going, stuff like that. Um, or I'm stressed, right? Like that's another one. But then also, I mean, there's so much celebration around food. I don't want to not enjoy the things that are special, but I also know I don't have to enjoy all
yeah,
the special things. So I don't know. I keep trying to think about it as balance, moderation,
yeah,
not not getting too high, not getting too low, but trying to be pretty
yeah.
thoughtful.
Okay, because this might be a good way to wrap it up, unless you have something else to say.
I don't think so.
One of the biggest takeaways from I think the full talk, and it's from Atomic Habits. I'm pretty sure he says good habits make time your ally, and bad habits make time your enemy. And for me, that feeds in directly to what I try to tell myself is keep working, be patient, small progress compounds. This whole 1%
Yeah,
thing, it like if it's not working after 3 days, it's like, well, what about 18 days? Like
right.
2 weeks. Give yourself 2 weeks,
Yeah,
and don't change too many things based on like 2 days worth of data kind of thing. You know, like
right.
if you're doing
Yeah,
something that ought to be working, give yourself the time to adjust. Like your body takes on. I'm talking about health again here, but like it's with anything, with writing, with
or like I'm doing, like trying to have more intentional evenings, right? To actually find a way to rest in the evenings and not continuing to flood my brain with
yeah,
things that are
scrolling.
making me, right, like
Yeah,
scrolling and consuming content in that way, or constantly responding to texts or emails or checking work stuff. That definitely um, keeps me on edge and stressed. And so, like, that's a big thing. I need to manage that cortisol,
yeah.
right, in
I'm
my
the same way,
system.
by the way. Like
Yeah.
I'll get stuck doing this on my phone, and all of a sudden I'm just like, what am I doing? And I just like I try to catch myself, and the thing for me is I go directly to the music app and I put music on,
Yeah. Yep.
and and
Well, what is that one app that you have that rewards you for not being on your phone and you get to grow little gardens? They have like a little pet.
oh um let
I
me make
want you
sure I
to
get
name that one.
Focus Friend.
Focus Friend.
It's Hank Green.
Okay.
It's his app, You get like a little coffee bean, like a little avatar, and you can create their house. Yeah. So I have been using that quite a bit. And because it's like you set a timer, and it's like, and then you put your phone down, and then you come back, and you got. So what your little friend does is, little bean, he makes socks and scarves while your timer's going, and so
You're focusing.
those are like the in app, like little currency to
Mhm.
buy the things to decorate your house and like your
Aw,
kitchen, and you have a kitchen bed. Anyway, obviously,
I should check
it's a really great
should
idea.
check it out.
Yeah, it's
I noticed though, I do think that more apps are trying to do that and focus and be like, be more, be more intentional.
yeah,
So I even notice I do Duolingo every day. So I'm like on day number 670 or something like
or
that.
egg. No,
Maybe. I'm pretty
it's
excited.
pretty awesome.
But on there, you can have a setting where it'll lock down certain apps until you do your Duolingo lessons for the day. So it's like do your learning and then you can scroll,
Yeah.
right?
One
I
oh
like yours better though.
well, and one
Focus
thing
friend.
I just thought of this one thing. James Clear said a few things that I was like, oh, I totally do that. Or I was just talking with Child too about, wanting to play guitar a little more, because like I see him playing and practicing, and I'm like, I should really play more. He's like, just put a guitar in the middle of your room. And then James Clear like basically said that in his talk. He's like, you want to play
Yeah.
guitar? Put it where you're gonna walk into it. And I'm like, oh, you're smart.
Try
And
to. So wise.
yeah, yeah. And I like, it was really good. So
Yeah.
it's kind of back to like, how are you creating the conditions, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
anyway,
I mean, honestly, if I have a puzzle that's, in progress, I'm more likely to sit down and puzzle.
yeah.
I finished one a couple days, 2 days ago, and I didn't puzzle last night because the one it was done.
So
So
I
I
need to
got to
bring you
start
some
another one.
puzzles.
No, I have puzzles here, but I'll probably start another one. Maybe not tomorrow, but for sure when you're here, I'll start one.
Okay.
We can pick one.
Yay.
Yay.
So I have Lego.
Uh,
Let me know.
I don't know.
Text me if
I don't
there's
think you do.
okay. Text me if there's is or isn't.
Okay, I'll let you know. We can always pick one out somewhere.
Yeah. Well, I probably have some
Okay.
that you don't know
Oh,
about.
oh, geez.
All right. Should we just wrap it up, and
I think we should.
we'll do this again soon?
Sounds good to me.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Love you.
I love you too.
I said no to pizza. I thought you'd appreciate that.